Well, good morning, friends. Happy Tuesday. This is Tara's Tuesday Talk, and I am just delighted to have a few moments with you today on this beautiful sunny Tuesday, at least sunny here in Honduras. I hope you're having nice weather as well as you're entering your fall season. Play in some leaves for me because I miss fall desperately every year. It's a beautiful season, so enjoy it. Don't take it for granted. Anyway, that's not the lesson today. Today I wanted to talk about how all of us from time to time, or maybe all the time, struggle a little bit with that big nasty word, worry. And we know the Lord told us to not be anxious for anything, but everything to bring to Him in prayer and thanksgiving, which is a wonderful, wonderful reminder and verse, and something I do believe we all desire to live by, because we know at least our hearts and minds are at peace when we do that thing of not being anxious or worrying, but coming to Him in prayer and thanksgiving. And so since that's not always the case, we don't always live up to that, so to speak, even though the Lord Jesus definitely helps us by His Holy Spirit to be reminded. We still struggle with that sometimes, being human and all. And so that's what I wanted to chat with you about today. I think it's a really important topic, and I know it is something there's tons of books out there about, and sermons and things like that. And so I think it's probably more important than we actually give it credit for sometimes. The strength that the Lord gives us when we give our worries over to Him, and then just how He's able to work on our behalf also when we don't worry and try to fix things in our own methods and manners. And so I know in Revelations, I just heard this recently, Revelations 21:8, it says, it's listing like all the things that, send people to the fiery pit, and unbelief and fear are in the beginning of those. And while I still need to do a lot of research, and I suggest you do too, kind of like connecting what that means, I think for them to be in the list with murderers and liars and whoremongers and all of those things, unbelief and fear are even listed first. And so I was recently listening to, it was just a little piece of the sermon. I wanted the pastor to stick with it because I wanted to hear more about that. But the importance of unbelief and fear and what that does in our lives, and how it suffocates our faith and our belief in the Lord and His promises. And so I think there's a lot to that. So I just encourage you to research that. I'm going to keep looking into that. That's Revelations 21:8. But obviously there's a lot more in the Word about not worrying, not being in fear of man or the things of this world, and not being in unbelief and denying God's promises and all that He sacrificed for us to receive those promises. Anyway, so my story to go with this, because I've had a lot, and I think Jorge and I both, and our staff, have had a lot of concern and worry over the foster care pilot, especially this last year. And so the first year, I think you guys remember, we've been in the foster care pilot for 2 years. So basically, just a quick recap, the government, hello, good morning motorcycles out there. The government decided to start their own foster care pilot, where they established the procedures and protocol, whereas before the last 6 years, we were working with our local regional welfare offices, but we using our procedures mixed with theirs. Like, they already had some standards for like how to screen families and stuff, and we had to use those requirements, and then we were able to add our own like management of the families and things like that, because they didn't have foster families. And so it was a great just like combining of the government role and the nonprofit role. And so now that we've been in the pilot, this is from the top down, right? So this is started in the Capitol. New people have been put in place to see if as a nation they can have a government foster care program. And so we've been in the pilot, which we were so excited about the first year. We shared a lot about that with you. And I don't know how much you've followed our story or gotten to talk to Jorge and I personally, but now we're at the end of the pilot in the second year. And so this whole last year we've had a lot of worry, and our staff as well, because to give it really brief, it's just a lot of restrictions have been added to the program, and bureaucracy that has just made it not even sustainable for the local regional office to be able to run it properly and in a sustainable manner. It's not manageable, and it's no longer it's really in this last several months has just even deterred from being child focused at all because of the level of bureaucracy and administrative procedures and things like that. And so our concern has just grown and grown as we reach the end of the pilot, because at the end of the pilot, they put into standard and practice, like they publish it in the newspaper and all these things, like this is how foster care will be run in the country. And so I think my anxiety, my worry was just reaching this climax, and I reached a point where I said, oh my goodness, I'm in fear and I'm in unbelief that the Lord is still in charge of this thing. And so I actually asked the Lord for verses. I was like, I need verses. I have to replace my thoughts of worry with your word and your promises. You love these kids more than we do. You started this program in 2015. We just ran with you in this. And so I really had to take control of my thoughts and my emotions and tell my heart, the Bible tells us, don't let your heart be troubled. It's like a command to us. And so I'm telling my heart, don't be troubled. Don't be afraid. God's got this. And it's really a capturing of our thoughts and our emotions and putting them back in line with God's promises and getting rid of that unbelief and worry, because that is unbelief. When we're worried, when we're anxious about it, or even scrambling to try to figure out how in the world to fix it ourselves, we're not believing God for his promises. And so that's where I've been and a lot of our staff and team and our partners that we do get to talk to on a regular basis. They're aware and they've been praying with us. And so we really are believing the Lord that in these last couple months they're doing a review of the program, and so this is recent that I was like, Lord, I just need a verse, and he gave them to me, and I've just been standing on them. And every time I get worried again, I just claim those verses, usually out loud. It just really helps me take control of my thoughts, and I've been sharing them these verses with our staff, our team, and our partners. And so that's what this Tuesday talks about. I wanted to share these verses with you, not only so you can pray for Identity Mission, pray for the foster care program as a whole across Honduras. We really want it to be sustainable. We really want the church to be leading it, which is what was happening over these last 5 years. And we don't want the new procedures to hinder that, not just hinder the church being a part of it, the nonprofits getting to raise up these Christian Honduran families, but also the local welfare offices being able to manage the work so that they actually, because they're the ones doing it, and if it's not manageable, they're just going to revert back to sticking kids in orphanages because that's easier and that's more manageable. And so that's our prayers over this, and we really just grabbed onto the Lord's word in Deuteronomy 30 that says he's going to put all those pieces back together and restore all these things because we're his kids. And so we're just totally believing for that, and that's what we've been declaring. I'm really pretty much almost the whole chapter. I just Deuteronomy 30, just pray over Identity Mission and foster care as a whole. And so if you'll be praying that with us, and then maybe you can grab that verse for you as well if things have kind of fallen apart, maybe in your business or your marriage or another relationship with your kids, like you can declare that over yourself. That's God's promises as as his kids. He puts pieces back together for us. He restores things that the enemy's trying to steal from us, even if it's because we did something stupid as we're still learning and growing in this faith. He still promises that. He promises all things for our good, even our stupid mistakes. And so I really encourage you to grab a hold of that and let it replace your worry, and just put your trust back in him, because nothing we can do, he may give us revelation that, hey, I need you to go do this because he wants you to walk something out, but nothing you can figure out, strategize, plan, can do what his word can do. And so let's just swing our word sword, which is what I'm doing right now. That's how we fight, with our word sword, the Bible, and let him fight this battle for us, because he also promises to fight those battles for us. And then whenever he does open a door, like this is what we're praying. So we have a meeting Thursday with like everybody involved in the government, in the Capitol, the head offices, the new people that are in place to run foster care are all going to be together on Thursday. And so we're just believing like, hey, also Proverbs 3:4 tells us that God gives us favor with him and with man. And so we're believing at that meeting, we will have the opportunity. We've given feedback for, these whole 2 years of very detailed things of how it could be more sustainable. Hey, this really isn't working. This is really hurting our foster families, things like that. We have given that feedback, but we're believing still at these end months, we'll have that, the Lord will open the door for that area of influence, that our voice can be heard as advocating for this program and for sustainability, and that we have the favor. God's given us favor. Like, y'all pray that with me. Jorge's going to stand up there on Thursday and have the opportunity to really say a word that will help everybody come together and say, oh yes, this isn't working. We can make it work this way, or let's talk together. Anyway, just let us have a voice and feedback, and for our local offices too as well. And so just believing God for that favor, that we could have that influence in the areas that we can see just aren't going to be sustainable for the program. And so I just want to finish up by giving you this last verse. Isaiah 26, 3-4 says, "You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you." And so the Lord promises, when we put our mind back on him, which is what we're talking about, replacing our worry with his word and his promises, that's putting our mind back on him, that he'll keep us in perfect peace. And you guys know, who have gone through anything difficult, that peace from the Lord, is the most amazing, beautiful thing. And it doesn't make sense that you could have peace in moments like this, but it does. He does. He gives us that peace, and it's amazing. And so this tells us that when we put our mind back on him, he promises to keep us in that perfect peace that he provides, and it's because we're trusting in him. And so I just want to encourage you today to put your mind on him, grab that verse, whatever it is, say it every time you get worried and concerned about that thing, and watch him put that peace in your heart and replace that worry with peace as we do that. So I pray that over you today. Thank you for praying with us today over the foster care movement here in Honduras. You've been in this with us for 6 years now. We're going to keep trudging forward and believing the Lord that his hand is totally on it and moving it. And so apply this. Let me know where you're going to apply this, and we'd love to pray with you over that thing as well, if you want to put that in the notes, or just send me a personal email. And a few last notes as we wrap up is that if you'd like to continue to talk about these things and really understand what's going on here in Honduras on a deeper level, we can always chat one-on-one. Please don't hesitate to send a message. But also, we're setting up quarterly Zoom calls for you guys. We're calling it the Identifiers. So basically, you just want to advocate more, you want to be involved, you want to understand, you want to ask questions, and get to know more and more in depth what's going on here and what you're supporting. And so we're doing those quarterly calls. We're calling them Identifier calls, because you're an identifier, because you're advocating more. Or getting involved more. And we have the next one coming up next Tuesday. So in place of Tara's Tuesday Talk, we're going to do a Zoom call all together and get to talk. We're going to set that up for 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. The link I'm going to add to this, so you can just jump in on that Zoom call, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time next Tuesday. And we can go deeper into these conversations and then talk about, what is going on with you in your world and how you maybe want to advocate for orphans there at home too. So I really hope you can jump on that, and we appreciate everybody that can, because it would be really great to see you in person on Zoom and to keep talking. Blessings, guys. Have a beautiful week. Thanks for tuning in.